And with us now, along with Jan from Washington this morning, is also John Dickerson, our political director. I want to start, Jan, I want to start with you. When we look at the debate here, the bet, the $10,000 bet, which Mitt Romney said his wife said that's one thing he doesn't do very well. This is really backfiring big time for him. How's the campaign dealing with that fallout?
Well, you saw Romney talking about his wife, Ann, and trying to make light of that moment. But, of course, what happened is this is what all the reporters are talking about, what the other opponents are talking about. It's gotten him off his message a little bit. In Iowa, in these caucuses, with these Republicans, I don't think it's going to make much difference at all. I mean, they know Romney is a rich guy. They know he made a lot of money before he went to public service. This is going to come as no surprise to him. We've elected rich presidents before, like FDR, JFK, George H.W. Bush. But the problem was with him saying that, it kind of came across a little ham-handed, and now that's what everybody's wanting to talk about.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm sure Newt Gingrich probably doesn't mind that they're talking about that, especially as he is continuing to rise in the polls, leading in South Carolina, in Florida, some polling in Iowa. There are about 10 days with the holidays left before Iowa. So there are about 10 days to get things done. John, anybody else who you see pulling ahead or really making a surge in that time?
Well, there have been so many surges in the Republican race, I guess it's still potentially possible. But no, I think we have, Gingrich is at the top of these polls, and it's now up to Romney to try and find some way to battle back. Ron Paul is also a key player. You talk to strategists and pollsters, they don't see Ron Paul racing to the top, but in some states like Iowa, in the caucuses there where he's well organized, where his supporters are particularly adamant about him, one thing that's important to keep in mind in all of these polls, the number of people who say they could still change their mind is in some cases as high as 70%. So there's still a lot of fluidity, but it's probably within those three candidates, although, again, we've had such a crazy primary season now, you never know, maybe one of these dark horses could come back.
Why stop now? It keeps it exciting. John, what is Newt Gingrich's biggest hurdle here in terms of maintaining that lead and getting those undecided folks to come over to his camp? Is it himself, as many have said?
Well, Newt Gingrich is a big hurdle to Newt Gingrich because one of the things that the Romney camp is now trying to argue, they've been talking about his baggage in the past. Their argument now is, well, worry about Newt Gingrich of the future, which is to say he's so volatile that even if you are able to come to an accommodation about his past behavior and his past peccadillos, you have to worry that maybe if he's the nominee, when he gets into a race against Barack Obama, he might say something that completely destroys his cause, and then this great opportunity we have as Republicans to beat Barack Obama will be hurt. That's the kind of boogeyman they're bringing up this week. The question is whether Newt Gingrich in these performances shows people a calm person who knows his brief and is able to kind of push back on that idea that he's too unpredictable.
Jan, in terms of Mitt Romney, there's some talk about the fact that he's using a very similar playbook as he did for the 2008 race, specifically in dealing with Iowa. Some comparisons to Mike Huckabee. How much has changed in that campaign that could, in fact, signal a change in the outcome heading forward for him this time around?
Well, we're seeing Romney starting to spend a lot of time now in Iowa and thinking that he may actually make some kind of impact on that state for the reasons that John just said. Romney has been polling right at around 20% pretty consistently. The question is that a floor or a ceiling? We've seen Gingrich come in and get a lot of that support. He's now pretty far ahead. But if somebody else were to come in and take some of Gingrich's support, you've got that three-way race, and Romney actually could walk away from Iowa feeling pretty good as he goes into New Hampshire. We've got a lot of time left. It doesn't seem like much, but a lot can happen in 3 weeks. And the one thing they're going to start trying to do is, as John said, make Gingrich kind of come across, use a lot of the things that Gingrich has said in the past to suggest that he would be unstable, that he wouldn't have his hand, a steady hand on the phone, in the White House. The problem with that, though, is that Gingrich comes across looking calm. In Saturday night's debate, he's the one who looked calm in some ways, not so much Romney.
All right, Jan Crawford, John Dickerson, always nice to see you both. Thank you.